I'm just going to kick us off and get us started. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Lauren Lozier, and I am the Associate Director in the Office of Alumni and Family Engagement. I am thrilled to have the opportunity to welcome each of you for this special edition reunion back to school class featuring John Paulus, class of 1999. Before we get started, I wanted to go over a few Zoom keeping items. First, all participants have been muted, and we ask that you remain muted throughout the event. If you are more comfortable and have not already changed your Zoom name to your first and last name, we ask that you do so now. You can rename yourself by clicking the participants button at the bottom of your screen, hovering your mouse over your name, and then clicking the More button. Feel free to add your Davidson class year if you have one as well. The chat feature will be available. If you have questions for John, however, please utilize the Q&A option. John will not be monitoring the chat, so please do not send questions directly for him. We will do our best to answer as many questions as possible. For optimal viewing, we recommend hovering your mouse at the top of the black Zoom screen and you will see View pop up. If you click on that and then select side-by-side speaker view, you will be able to see the PowerPoint in the center of your screen and the speaker to the right. If you would like, just as a note, this will be recorded, as you know, and we'll be able to go back and view at any time in a few weeks. Just so you also know, if you have any tech issues, if you wouldn't mind sending myself, Lauren Lozier, a chat, and I will be able to help you as best as I can. Now for our speaker. John Paulus, class of 1999, has worked as an educator, an administrator, a career and business development professional, an entrepreneur, and a content strategist. Now, for fun, he hosts Life's Potluck Buffet, a YouTube podcast about all of life's work, featuring the deck of cards he created from his experience, getting people to their next big thing. Please help me welcome John.
Thank you, Lauren. I really so greatly appreciate your warm introduction, and I want to thank Lauren Lozier and Carissa Clonch and Adam Barton for organizing and putting together all of the technical aspects of this and getting this tonight's program together so beautifully. So I want to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I also want to thank Ainsley Nada, who invited me to present tonight, and Dewey Irvin, who I think mentioned Life's Potluck Buffet to Ainsley, if I recall, if that's right. Ainsley, if that's I think that's what you said, and the organizing committee of the 25th reunion of the class of 1999, and I'm really so glad to be doing this for our class. And I am so pleased you all could join tonight. I have been really looking forward to today's event, and I hope you enjoy hearing about my podcast, and which is about message and meaning, really, in work and life. And as Lauren mentioned, please, put any questions you have in the Q&A as we go along, and I'll answer them as we go. And at the end of the episode, we're going to have a very special drawing from the deck, from the Life's Potluck Buffet deck, as I do on the show every day. And that will be a special message for us as a group and for the individuals tonight to think about in their work and life. And so, exciting. All right, so let's just jump right in, and we'll give you a sense of how episodes start. What's a wicked problem? Finding a packing spot near Fenway Park? That was my best Boston accent. Apologies to everyone, but no, that's a wicked pain, but it's not a wicked problem. Find out today what is a wicked problem, and if life is a wicked problem, on Life's Potluck Buffet. I'm John Paulus. Thanks for joining me. So that's how episodes typically start these days. And so I thought, since we're really doing the anatomy of an episode and the background of how I came to this point in my life, I thought I'd talk about how it started for me. And as I was thinking about that, I had to go all the way back to high school, because in high school, I was the um, announcer for the daily announcements that went out to all the classrooms during homeroom in high school, and I loved doing that. And I always loved that kind of element of announcing and broadcasting and so forth. And I just remembered today that I was the PA announcer for a very special charity basketball game at my high school that featured such celebrities. And this will be a blast from the past for the class of '99. Alfonso Ribeiro was one of the celebrity guests, and Soleil Moon Frye was another player on the celebrity side the side of my high school was mostly kind of people who were community members and donors and so forth. So it was a really fun evening, but I was the PA announcer for that. And I just remembered that today. And I always had a love of hosting and announcing. And at Davidson, I worked at WDAV, which probably all of you know as the classical channel in the Charlotte metropolitan area. And I did the Adagio shift, which was the kind of music that you would be put to sleep by. I don't know if they still do Adagio on WDAV. If any of you know, let me know. I hope they do. It's a good show, and very effective. So when I graduated from Davidson, I had all these temp and freelance jobs. And this is where Ainsley Nada comes in again, because on the very day that I went into the exact same agency that Ainsley Nada went into, I worked with the exact same person that Ainsley Nada worked with that very day. And I remember Ainsley calling me and being like, "How did I?" It's a funny thing, you know. And so in that time, I saw a lot of corners of the business world, of the nonprofit world, and it was fascinating to me. I was absolutely fascinated to see all of the jobs and all of the things that people did to make a living and as paid work. And so my own path led me to grad school, and then I taught a little, including at Davidson. And at some point, I moved on from the classroom, and I had the idea to help people figure out their way forward, to kind of, I guess, pay forward all of the help that people have given me over the years and still give me, and what I learned along the way about careers and work and life. And so I started a business doing career and entrepreneurship advising and career transitions, mid-career transitions, and workshops for organizations and groups around the country, and a lot of one-on-one advising. And eventually I designed these cards. I'll hold them up. I don't know if they're going to be reversed or not, but I designed these cards, the Life's Potluck Buffet deck, to use in contexts like that. And they contain 55 prompts. They're 55 cards. Each one of them has a prompt or an idea from my practice of helping people and groups get to their next big thing. And so a couple of years ago, I was doing a business program, and one of the seminars was done by a marketing person, a real great marketing professional. And he suggested to the group of business people that we do a video 10 minutes every day on YouTube for a year, and that good things would happen. Whatever happened, good things, you'd find some good things would happen. And so at first I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I remember talking to the group that I usually sat with at that seminar, and I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to do this. But one day last year, I found myself sitting down and recording one episode featuring one card. And now here we are, 279. I counted them today. 279 episodes later. And so I'm almost there. I'm not too far away from the episode a day for a year. So things have evolved as I have gone along, but I want to give you the sense today of how one episode, my favorite episode of them all, and I hope it will be your favorite as well, how it worked. And that episode is the rock at a stoplight. But before we get to the rock, at this point, I want to show the various thumbnail images of the videos. So I often use art and visuals as a way to let my unconscious lead me as I think about an episode. And the unconscious is very important in all of in every episode of Life's Potluck Buffet, really, for figuring out how to lead ourselves forward in our work lives. And so for about 55 episodes, I recorded my screen as I drew or wrote on the worksheets that I created. And I created those worksheets a while ago as companions to the cards. And that's where I got the idea that I might want to include the art that I made about the episodes on a daily basis. And at some point, I started using that animation that you saw with their waves on the bottom that are actually the noodles from the card. There are 3 suits in the cards, as I think of them. There's the magenta noodles, yellow lemons, and blue dumplings. And that will remember those because we'll get back to those a little bit later. But that animation that I did, I decided to add that to the videos. And now I often insert images of the thumbnails in the videos themselves, and I insert them at times when I talk about the images in the videos. And on actually today's episode, I actually inserted in a very early 2 or 3 frames from a very early film from 1896 to illustrate a point I was making. So I've done things like that as well. So at some point when I was doing the cards one by one, and that was 55 days worth of episodes, I was making an episode for card 36, Make People's Days. And I was searching YouTube for a video to illustrate and to talk about and to have a link to in the comments that people might watch to illustrate my point about how to make people's days and how to do it the way that the card talks about. And I kept on coming back to this video with The Rock, the wrestler, Dwayne Johnson. And I thought it was exactly what the card was saying. So, well, let's look at it. Here it is. This is the original clip of The Rock that inspired this episode.
All right, this is kind of funny. There's a tour bus here. It always tours through my neighborhood. Hey, you guys know where I can find The Rock? How you guys doing? I'll wait, don't worry. How you guys doing? Everybody good? All right. Hey, you're very welcome. All right, brother. Oh, cool. Well, you guys have a good trip. All right, thank you. Love you too. Hey. Oh, well, that was fun. It's a good way to start off my Saturday. Bye.
And so here's my kind of sketchy version of the still from the clip that I thought that this moment just captured it all for me. And the key to these sketches is I try to do everything about the episodes as quickly as possible, just to make this feasible to do. And so I do a lot of line drawing when I do sketches. And in this one, a lot of them I'll have Life's Potluck Buffet. Recently, I've had Life's Potluck Buffet with John Paulus. So I've been kind of reimagining what the thumbnails look like. And I added this gradient, which I thought there was something right about the gradient, from the change of the color here, going right to left. And I just thought it worked perfectly, and that was done. So Okay. So here's the intro and setup of the episode. Hi, this is John Paulus, and you're listening to Life's Potluck Buffet. That was good. I was going for something a little game show-esque there. I think I achieved it. That sounded good. I'm pretty pleased with that. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate you tuning in. Today's card is card 36. Make people's days. Let me read it to you. Take a moment to say a kind word of appreciation for the work of every person you encounter, from family to strangers. If you could do something in addition that will make a person's day, do it. Say a thing you appreciate about the person to your left. So if there is someone to your left, turn to them and say a word of appreciation. I'll give you a second to do that. I guess there's probably going to be only one person to your left. This card envisioned that there would be a table that 4 people were sitting around, so someone would be to everyone's left. Right now, we're going to have to just improvise, because if you're listening to this and sitting on a couch and there's only 2 people in the room and the person on the left is the only person on the left, then that's okay. The person on the right, you're going to make that person's day by saying a word of appreciation, and that person will probably say something nice to you. If they don't say something nice to you, then we're going to have to wait for another day. If you're alone wherever you are, just wait until you see somebody and say something nice. Okay, so make people's days. What does this mean to me? You remember I talked on that episode a long time ago about being lo-fi, about how that was my style. That's how I roll. And that is true, I feel like, for make people's days. I mean, this is not like prize patrol stuff here. This is not like, show up at somebody's house and be like, I will now present you with a big check and the whole world will see this. That's a different exercise, I think. That's not this exercise. This exercise is only, in a sense, being visible to that one person. It's not performative. Try to not make it performative, because then when it's performative, it starts to be about us. That's why it's a kind word of appreciation. That's why it's a little thing. If you could do something that'll really make their day, then do that. On the YouTube channel playlist for card 36, there is a short video of The Rock, the person The Rock. So you can see why The Rock at the celebrity tour bus video is kind of indicative of the outlook of card 36. It's a small stakes encounter that, as you can tell from all the screaming, really made people's days, and including, judging from the video, maybe most of all, it made The Rock's day. That everybody reacted as they did when he rolled up on that tour bus. And so let's go to the next section of the episode where I talk about that Rock video. And while I was improvising, I come up with an idea that would make the episode. On the YouTube channel playlist for card 36, there is a short video of The Rock, the person The Rock. And in that video, The Rock is in an SUV or other truck-like vehicle, and he clearly has his cell phone mounted on his dashboard, and he's driving clearly in an area where he lives, and clearly in an area where they have a lot of those celebrity spotting, celebrity homes, tour buses. And he's kind of like, oh, check this out. And he rolls up on the tour bus and says, hey, have any of you seen The Rock? And of course, they all go crazy and they're screaming. And some of them say that they love him, and he says that he loves them. It's a very nice video. I like it. It's not a big to-do. There's no dramatic setup. It's a nice little short clip, and it's great. and I really like it a lot because it's simple. And it also, there's nothing, yes, everybody on the tour bus is like taking pictures and doing video and, and doing that sort of thing. But it's a low stakes human encounter. It's just The Rock at a stoplight. What is that the title of? The Rock at a Stoplight. It sounds like a poem. Okay, I'm going to have to give that a little bit of thought and write a few lines down. But you know what? At the end of this video, stay tuned because I'm going to premiere a short poem, The Rock at a Stoplight. So get ready for that. Okay, so I'm going to imagine that I am in a car next to The Rock so that The Rock's SUV is on my left, and I'm going to say a word of appreciation to The Rock. I really appreciate how you made those people's days in that video that I was talking about earlier. And I loved it, and I thought it was just wonderful. So, thank you. So, so the symbol of Life's Potluck Buffet on YouTube, on the videos on the bottom right corner, and the subscription button, and the favicon on the website, that little thing that's in your browser tab, is also on the back of the cards. I'll see if I could get it close enough to the camera, right in the middle of the back of the cards. And it's on the box of the card deck, and it's a lidded casserole that I call a Dutch oven. And so at some point, I started posing a question to viewers and also random celebrities who might be listening. And I'd ask what they call a lidded casserole. And sometimes I would ask for recipes for an actual potluck rather than a metaphorical one. And well, those of you who are familiar with The Rock's famous tagline from his old wrestling days, well, something special happened when I posed that question in this episode. Oh, that's right. I also asked everybody yesterday what they cook in the lidded pot that's called a casserole or a Dutch oven sometimes. So I will also extend that question to The Rock. So, Rock, if you would, please let us know if you own a Dutch oven or a casserole, if you call it a casserole. And if so, what do you cook in that Dutch oven? Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I just asked The Rock what he's cooking. Let me give you a little background in case you don't know what just happened. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, who we've been talking about, became famous as a professional wrestler. And his catchphrase was, if you smell what The Rock is cooking. Now, if you heard what I just asked, I asked The Rock what The Rock is cooking. Does some sort of tear in the space-time continuum open up when you ask The Rock what The Rock is cooking? That is a question for, honestly, I don't know who's qualified to answer that question. Here's a koan. One of those paradoxical questions from Zen Buddhism. These are things like, if a tree falls in a forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? And things like that. If The Rock is cooking in a forest and there's no one there to smell it, what happens? I guess that really wasn't a koan. It was more of just a question. I'm really still amazed. I just asked The Rock what The Rock was cooking. Oh, and hello. I would have been screaming also if I were on that tour bus. So, This idea of the little things that we do, again, making a big difference in people's lives. There are these small kindnesses have a really big impact because people don't experience small kindnesses on a daily basis necessarily. It also is an interesting thing to go through a day and see how many small kindnesses of others, unbidden, you receive. That would be a really interesting thing to do. I might try doing that. Just to keep track of each small kindness that happens, each human encounter. I like doing this because it kind of reinforces our humanity. And anything that can do that is wonderful in my book. So today, try making people's days. You'll be glad you did. They'll be glad you did. I'll be glad you did. And The Rock will most certainly, out of all of us, be glad you did. So this is really a moment to cherish for me, and really why it's my favorite episode, because by kind of painting myself in that box with the Dutch oven question and asking The Rock what The Rock is cooking, then realizing that's The Rock's tagline. That really just, it just made an episode that I was already in love with even a better episode, I think, for me at least. Well, then, so with all of that in place and wrapping up the episode, I decided that I would freestyle that poem as promised. And because I make so many episodes, I don't write out a script. None of these are scripted. And so even though in the episode I said, oh, I'm going to write down a few lines, and then say the poem, I never did that. I just went straight to it from what you just heard. And I just had to freestyle, and I did it in one take. And so here's the poem. The Rock at a Stoplight by John Paulus. I was driving my celebrity tour bus, and what did I see? It was The Rock at a stoplight, pulled up alongside me. My passengers went nuts. They couldn't get enough. What a nice guy, I thought, for someone who plays roles so tough. The light then turned green, and I have to say that The Rock taught me a lesson that's with me to stay. If you have the opportunity or can in any way, do like The Rock and make someone's day. So in that series, which was, as I said, about 55 episodes, there are actually a couple of additional episodes. So some of the cards I went on for longer than 10 minutes or so. And so I made it 2 episodes. But so after that, that series, I started really and I've been doing this for a long time. I've been ending each episode with a card drawing. And the cards are pretty magical when I draw them on the air. And a lot of freaky things happen that I discovered one day when I asked the cards to, I was like testing them. And I said, tomorrow, I told the audience, tomorrow I'm going to do card 52. And so let's see if the cards can pull up card 52. And I shuffled the deck in what became my ritual way of shuffling the deck, which I'll talk about in a sec. And the card 52 pulled up. But the greatest highlight in the cards being freaky and magical in this way came on a day when I drew card 28, Passions Are for Hobbies, 3 times in a row on the same day, same show, after I had already talked about the card the day before in connection to a different card that I was talking about that day. And so let's pick it up from the second time I drew the card. This is from the highlights of the show. Okay. I'm not even going to I'm not even going to talk about drawing that Passions Are for Hobbies card again because I just know this card deck is gonna mess with me. Because when you mess with the Life's Potluck Buffet cards, they mess with you back. Okay, so I'm cutting the deck right here, and so I'm asking, what's going to help me today, cards? Talk to the audience about a life skill that we need. Okay, here we go. Oh, oh no. Oh, I swear. Okay. Guess what card I drew? The cards. I drew Passions Are for Hobbies. Okay. That's the second time today I drew it, and I specific. Oh, these cards. I'm going to, however, now that we've talked about that again, I hope that suffices to appease the cards. They're a tough audience. They're a tough audience themselves. Okay, cards. I know that. Okay, I'm not even gonna say anything. Okay, I'm gonna do my ritual shuffle again. I can't believe I drew that card again. Okay, here we go. I'll be shuffling over here. Okay, here we go. I'm even afraid to cut the deck. Okay, here we go for the third time today. Cards, please don't let it be Passions Are for Hobbies. I pray. I pray to you. Here we go. Oh, it's Passions Are for Hobbies. I can't. These cards just don't want me to do an episode today. That's what they want. I can't believe it's Passions Are for Hobbies. I know. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to remove Passions Are for Hobbies from the deck and see if they I can't believe this. Okay, so this is the third time I've drawn Passions Are for Hobbies in addition to the fact cards. They're just torturing me now because I actually talked about Passions Are for Hobbies yesterday connected to another card, and I'm sorry that I did because apparently that triggered some sort of tear in the space-time continuum. That is, we're going to fill in the void with card number 28 for the next, 6 hours. Okay, so card number 28. Okay, I'm going to remove this from the deck. I swear, if it comes up anyway, if there's another card 28 in your cards, that's it. I'm really retiring. I realized in preparing for this program tonight that I like to talk about this tear in the space-time continuum that goes on in the show. I really feel really something very very uncanny happens on the show on a daily basis. So I decided that not only to go along with the ritual shuffle that I do, which is I'll do these three, like I'll rearrange the cards 3 times. I'm not going to do it right now because I'm very kind of superstitious about the cards, so we have to draw these later on when we're done with the program. And so I want to make sure that they're set as they were this afternoon after I did today's episode. So I'm not going to do the shuffle, but I do 3 times, and then I will shuffle them like, what you think of as a normal shuffle, which I call like a formal shuffle. And then I will find the card that's like kind of highest up, or if there's a gap in the cards or something, I'll just pull it from there. So that's how it works. And I decided that I needed a ritual chant to go with this shuffle because I was doing a show on the the kind of trick, light as a feather, stiff as a board, that kind of illusion. And I decided that I would start doing a ritual chant. And on the Wicked Problems episode, which we heard at the very beginning, I said it in a new order, which I would say on the episode, well, you'll see in a second. And I just kept that new order, and that's the order that I do it in. And so also, just for the sake of closure, I answered that, if you remember the Fenway Park question about parking, I answered the Fenway Park Wicked Problem question, and maybe alums from Boston who are here tonight will agree with my answer. Let's ask the cards, for a way to think about wicked problems, and then we'll see what their answer is. So, yellow lemons, blue dumplings. Oh, I did it wrong. Magenta noodles. Tell us some things. I did it backwards. All right, here we go. Here's our card. Oh no, please don't be. It's not Passions Over Hobbies. It's card 49. Oh, this is a great one. Inflict your kindness on others, not your traumas. And as we go about thinking about that, think of how to handle situations with care, including wicked problems. That's the key here, is that element of care. So I think this card is extremely applicable to our treatment of wicked problems, because we are going to handle these with care. That is going to be the key element to handling wicked problems. And so think about that and approach every problem, whether ordinary, complex, or wicked, with care. Oh, and if you're trying to get to Fenway Park, I think most Bostonians would tell you, just park your car somewhere else and take the T. Okay, so now it's our chance to draw the card for tonight. And I just want to go over with you the ritual chant so that we'll all be ready to say it. And if you want to unmute and so that we could all do it together, I think that would be great. So I'll give you the chant, and we'll go through it a couple of times so that we all get it down. So it's yellow lemons, blue dumplings, magenta noodles, cards, tell us some things. All right, let's try it again. Yellow lemons, blue dumplings, magenta noodles, cards, tell us some things.
Cards.
All right. So here we go. And so as I do the ritual shuffle, I'll say this, and this will be our card for tonight. So here we go. Yellow lemon, blue dumplings, magenta noodles, cards, tell us something. All right. Here we go. All right. I see which one's sticking out right here. Please don't let it be Passions Over Hobbies.
I was just gonna say, if
God.
it's that, I'm gonna lose my mind.
I know. I'm gonna. It's just over. Thankfully, it's not. I'll show. I don't know if that's reversed or not. It is for me, but that's card 15. Speak where you want to be, and the way will appear. All right, I'm going to read this to you as I do on the show. So when it occurs to you to say to yourself, "I want to be X," say it to yourself and no one else. Then operate as if it were already true, and be ready to say to others that it is true. All right. So right now, why not give it a try? If you could say it out loud if you want, whatever pops, you don't need to say it out loud. You can write it in the chat. You can write it in the Q&A, write it down on a piece of paper, or you just think of it in your head. But say it to whoever's in the room, and this is in the Zoom room in this case. So I want to be blank. All right. So I'll say it again. I want to be blank. Say that in your head or out loud, and then see what flows out of your head. That's very important to the Life's Potluck Buffet way, is to answer a lot of these questions with just whatever pops to mind, even if it's ludicrous, even if it's absurd. And I've done that for years with people, because even if we don't know what the meaning is to start out, we can quickly figure out why that came to mind. So take that away as your thought for today. And any day you need another thought, just tune into Life's Potluck Buffet. So I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. It means so much to me that you chose to spend some of your evening tonight with me, and I'm so glad you did. And I'll see you all next time on Life's Potluck Buffet. And thank you.
Don, thank you so much. That was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. You have gained a loyal listener moving forward. So I will thoroughly enjoy listening to it. And just so to play along, I always want to be filled with grace. And I think during planning a reunion, I'm going to need every ounce of grace that I can get, not only for myself, but everybody that I work with. So maybe when you see me, when you guys come back on campus, you can make sure that I'm still projecting that grace to everybody around me. So yeah, I'm going to have you guys hold me to it. Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask John? We do still have a few minutes, so if time allows for your personal schedules, we'd love to hear some questions. So please feel free to take yourself off mute, or if you feel more comfortable, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. Well, John, I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
I would love to know, are there any upcoming projects or developments related to your podcast that you're excited about?
Well, there are, and I think it really involves just me and my life in terms of doing a lot more work with on the kind of content strategy side of my work and the design work, and whether that has to do with text or art design. It really, doing this podcast really opened me up to that, and I'd really love to do a lot more what I think of as broadcasting. But for me, that really means being a host, and not so much as like I want to have like a like the old days of like a 3-hour show on a talk radio show, that kind of thing. That's not what this has all taught me. It's taught me that I really like this kind of identity as what I think of as broadcaster or a host. And how that has always been part of my life, and about a lot of the cards are about hearing people about what they're saying that resonates with you. And that's something that I listen out for. And throughout my life, people have said things like, wow, are you in Toastmasters? You should really, because you're a great public speaker, or you're a great, host of events and things like that. And so I feel like the podcast has really given me a lot more confidence in terms of like my ability to do that, and to do it every day. Just bring that every day. I mean, that's every day. So that's a lot of practice.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you for that question.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't necessarily have a question, but I do have a comment.
Great.
I recently got into podcasting, not myself, just listening and admiring from afar.
Yeah.
But I have to say that I feel your overall demeanor and your voice and your outlook is so interesting to listen to. And just to reiterate what Lauren said, I would absolutely love to continue to listen to you. I feel like sometimes it's just about listening to what your subconscious is telling you.
Yes.
And these cards and kind of you guiding the audience through it, it kind of helps to see what's already brewing. And I think it's a reflection point that, our lives are so busy and we never just take time to sit and hear ourselves think, because we always have a phone or we're doing something. We have a million things on our plate. So I just really appreciate the time that we could spend with you doing that. So thank you.
Thank you for that wonderful comment. I love what you said about just kind of letting it wash over you. I think part of the animation there of where I converted those noodles into waves, to me, kind of signifies that. But I only realized that when you just said it, Emily, because it's not something that I had consciously thought about. But I think that idea of it kind of washing over us, and like being in a position to have kind of ideas come to you, and things that you do come to you, by not putting any pressure on it. And there's a lot of cards about that, like, refinish a chair, or take a walk, or do something where you're not thinking about some problem that you're trying to solve, and the back of your mind will solve it for you. And that works
100%
for me. And
Same.
like Lauren said, it's the way it works. And for people who, think about, dreaming and things like that, the back of your mind has a full-time job when you go to sleep. So
Mhm.
like all of the cards are about everything you do in life is work. And the point of that is not to make it sound like drudgery, but the point of it is to honor the work that we all do. Because a lot of the work that we all do is invisible. It has no kind of connection to the W-2 or, right, or anything
Yeah.
like that. That's from when we wake up to when we go to bed, we're
Mhm.
always working because we're always using energy and effort. And then when you go to bed, the back of your mind has a full-time job. It's got to sort out stuff that it needs to sort out that your conscious mind doesn't sort out. So the viewing the world through this lens of work, I think honors the work that we all do and the effort and energy we all bring every day. And that's what makes it really special for me to kind of be able to do it. That's been great. So thank you, Emily, for that comment. It was really enlightening for me.
John, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, first time listener, enjoyed it. I went to YouTube and subscribed. Easy to do, everybody.
Thank you.
The, I'm curious where, to learn a little bit more just about where the idea for the cards came from, and you have the three different, you've got your dumplings, you've got your noodles, you've got your lemons. What are how is it that cards are grouped? And so I've got other questions, but those were my first two.
Thank you for asking that question. It was something that I was actually going to talk about, and I'm glad you asked it because now I can give you my answer. So the way the cards started out is that I wrote a kind of book length version of what I was doing with my practice and how I worked with people to get them to the next point in their lives and careers and businesses and so forth. And the book just wasn't doing it for me because it felt so static, and it felt like it wasn't conversational, and it was only giving the opportunity that I felt, because there aren't so many reading clubs they're around. So it was like a very solitary and individual pursuit to open up the book and just use these ideas in that way. So I wanted them to be conversations. I wanted people to be able to talk to each other through the cards, because the cards were basically taking a lot of the ideas that I used and developed in talking one-on-one with people and in groups, so that people could take those ideas and use them themselves and talk to each other, so that I wouldn't need to be there. That was like the kind of next step in what I was doing and where the cards came in. And so what I basically did is I made exercises to illustrate all of the things that I was talking about in the book. And I took some of the exercises that I had been doing regularly. One of the cards is something that I started doing years ago, by accident. It was like one of the first people I helped out get them to their next place in their career. And I asked them, I said, what are some things you're thinking about? Just imagine that we had universal basic income, and imagine that we all have, in the United States, we have universal health care, and we have all of these things where we don't need to make money to live. In a situation like that, what are four things you would do with your time, and just say them as they occur to you? And I asked that question, and I call that my ABCD question. And in the cards, there's a card called Third Time's a Charm, because it turned out that the C, that answer C, was always where there was something really different or some revelation that a person had. Because A and B were things that they were kind of working through, just things that are on the top of their mind. And then once they cleared that away, C is where something pops up, where it's all of a sudden they find themselves saying, I can't believe I even said that, or I don't know why I said that. And that's what we're always looking for. And that's how I enter into every, when I was doing a lot of one-on-one work with people, I always started every initial meeting with that, because that enabled me to kind of hear and have the person here for the first time, something that they might not have realized was a priority, that is a priority for them. So I took all the exercises like that, and there are countless ones that I would do, and I made them into cards. And then I organized the cards into kind of rough suits. So John, to answer your question about the suits, the yellow lemons are about us. The magenta noodles are about others, or are us listening to others, or hearing others, and the blue dumplings tend to be more of a kind of blue sky type thinking about our lives. And the kind of key card in the blue dumplings is one about an episode of a game show in 1957 where Salvador Dali, the artist, kind of broke this game show that was about careers. What's my line? And like thinking about our lives in a liberated way. And so the blue dumpling cards are all about kind of a liberation. And so that's their kind of like basic themes that run throughout the cards. They of course overlap and things like that, but that's the kind of thought behind the suits.
Thanks.
Thank you. I'm really glad you asked.
I appreciate, since you're to my left now, I'll tell you, I appreciate your hair. I admire that.
Thanks, John.
I'm not sure what you did with the genetic lottery that you won, but some of us weren't so lucky, and you can see it. I'm noticing it especially now with the light, the way that it's shining. I look angelic though, right? I mean,
You're
can
right, and
halo.
we can all appreciate that. That's the
John, I have a question. I know you're on so 279 now, right? You're on card date 279 of posting these episodes, right?
that's right.
Okay. Are you going to be going beyond the 365-day challenge? Is this going to be a continuing thing, hopefully, or are we having a finite number of episodes?
Well, now that John and Emily and Lauren are subscribed, I might have to do more episodes. My plan was to maybe not do the daily episode after 365, because I think the 365 episodes is sufficient for that, but we'll see how it goes. So I may, to answer your question, I think I might start doing kind of less regular episodes. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe who knows? Who knows what happens? Maybe I'll just keep on making it.
Nice. But again, thank you for doing this and for everything. Really, it's been pretty awesome. Thanks.
Thank you, Ainsley, for asking me. I really appreciate it, and that's really, that's why I'm here. And I that made such a big difference for me. I just appreciate all of the work that you're putting into all of this and getting everybody together. And John, I know, is doing all that work, and it's so appreciated.
So John, I have one more if you have time. I'm curious, like if you have, one card out of the 55 that means the most to you, is there one that speaks to you the most? And I'm also, as you were talking about, making somebody's day, I can remember there was a point where, for a concerted, where I made an effort really to engage people who might otherwise go unnoticed, the person swiping the bags at the, working the counter at the grocery store, and really just to acknowledge everybody and appreciate them. And, probably still, stopping short of making somebody's day, but really just trying to be very purposeful about acknowledging the humanity and the effort of people, around me who often go unnoticed, I'm sure. But like at some point I kind of stopped doing that, and I probably picked up my phone, as I was going through the bag lane. And so I guess, the question is like, it's not, this part isn't really so much of a question as meandering kind of. When you are the cards therapy for you? I mean, do you come back to them? Do you find yourself disappointed then when you finish a day and you haven't made somebody's day? Like, how does I'm a lapsed Catholic, and so I probably just, it's like the guilt. It's like, oh shit, one more thing that I got to do here, John. So now I got to go make some.
That's the problem with the cards. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You know,
I before we got on the Zoom, one of the cards I was talking about. I try my best to live up to the ideals of the cards on a daily basis because I don't. One of the cards that is very important to me is that story that you just told about someone else is actually about you. And this is something that I've kind of lived my life by for a very long time. And that's like, for me, that's the most important card of the whole deck. I don't think I would say it was my favorite card. My favorite card, I think, is one that I've hated for a long time because I realized that I've kind of struggled with it, and it's called "You Are What You Hate." And it's all about seeing the kind of double-sided coin that hate and love are, and things that we think about in our lives, and things that we look down on in terms of careers or jobs or just pursuits, or things that we just say, no, I'm not that, and that kind of thing. And so because of those cards, I really try not to be hypocritical, and I really try to live by as many rules as I can. But that's also why the daily card is important to me, because I kind of just use that one for the day, and so that it's a little bit less pressure, so I don't have to do all 55 every day. So I kind of, so I don't have to make someone's day every single day, even though I do try when I can, when you have the chance, right? That's the key, is like, I've lived a lot more by that rule, like when you have the chance. So not forcing anything, but understanding that if there's a moment where you're like, aha, here it is, I have the chance to do this or make someone's day, or any of the 55 things, that's when you do it. So then you don't, like you're saying about that guilt, you don't have to worry about the guilt, because it's okay, because we're okay. And that kind of self-acceptance that the cards preach is something that I work on all the time, and definitely something that it's therapeutic for me. Absolutely.
I think it's just a wonderful way to realize that, especially now, so many people, to your point, are so stuck inside their own heads, whether it's in their phone or whatever, and they're not like opening their eyes out to outside. And so when you kind of take a step back and you look at the people that are around you, everyone is going through something, everyone is experiencing something, whether it's good, bad, or tragic. And it's just allowing yourself to be cognizant of your fellow person. My goodness, I think if all of us could do that more on a regular basis, I think this world would be, so much better off, and not filled with so much anger and strife and all the things. But John, I really cannot thank you enough. This was an absolutely lovely way to spend my Thursday evening. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really, really, truly appreciate you taking the time. I just wanted to also extend a huge thank you to the class of 1999 reunion committee for not only putting up with myself and Emily and all of our antics and trying to get this reunion planned, but for bringing forward John as an idea for this back to school class. It has been a pleasure. Carissa, thank you so much for keeping us on the straight and narrow with the all the video aspects. For Lord knows, if I was tasked to do that, it would not have gone as smoothly as it did. So thank you so much. Just so you know, this event has been recorded, as I chatted about. We will be transcribing it, and we will actually be putting it up on the College Relations YouTube channel. So you all can go back and view this at any time. John, I will also provide you with a link too if you wanted to link it to your website, that we would love to offer that to you as well.
Oh, thank you.
And yeah, no problem. And just as a friendly reminder, reunion registration is open, so please go ahead and register if you have not done so already. And that's it. Thank you all so much for joining us this evening. We
Thank you,
appreciate
John.
it.
Thank you all.
Thank
Have
you,
a great
everyone.
evening, everybody. John,
Let's
thanks
see.
again.
Good night.
Good night.